Good evening. We do talk a lot about the Mad Woman, but according to our comprehensive plan, all our watersheds except the Zakaya will be impaired. In 1992, DNR did say Mattawoman Creek represents as near to ideal conditions as can be found in the Chesapeake Bay, perhaps unattainable in the other tributaries, and should be protected from overdevelopment. In 2009, a mere 17 years later, American Rivers named Mattawoman as the fourth most endangered river in the nation. And we should recognize our special guest in the audience today, Murray Levy, the paid lobbyist for BGI. He must be very proud of this accomplishment. While he was president, commissioner, and delegate, he facilitated the destruction of the Mattawoman. But he's not finished yet. He wants it dead. And he can't say he doesn't, and the rest of the BGI people can't say that either. It sounds like a lot of people don't care about our watersheds who are here tonight, but I think most of the voters do. I think most of the voters do. You can't have it both ways. This is what BGI calls balance. But they don't even know what balance is. They've never been able to quantify what balance is with numbers. They've never been able to produce development scenarios that will preserve our watersheds. And it's very confusing, the arguments. It sounds like a lot of people are here to support the development of our farms and not the preservation. Rural Maryland will not be rural Maryland anymore. We should also mention property rights. Property rights only work for the rich and powerful. They always work against the poor. When the Europeans came here, they wiped out the native people and wildlife in the name of property rights. And Mr. Richards has reminded us that this country was founded on property rights, and he's correct. We're also forgetting supply and demand. If we right-size zone, then things are relative. If there's too much supply, the values go down, and there are studies that show that down zoning or right zoning can actually increase property values. I would ask you to adopt the scenario 1 as a guide for your tier maps. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mr. Posey, and after Mr. Posey, Ms. Janice Wilson.
Mr. Chairman, before Mr. Posey speaks, I would just ask that you reinforce our rules that those who testify or comment before this Planning Commission be respectful of not only members of the Planning Commission but also other members of the audience. Delegate Levy is a respected member of this community, and frankly, he's a private citizen right now, representing a group. And I think it's inappropriate for members of this body to make any disparaging comments or remarks about Delegate Levy.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Richard. That's your opinion, but we'll proceed without any further directions. Mr. Posey?
My name is Cornell Posey. I'm from Nanjimoy.
Mr. Posey has the floor. Mr. Posey has the floor.
Well, when he finishes, I'd like to say something.
Mr. Posey?
Yeah. My name is Cornell Posey. I'm from Nanjimoy. I see the map that the staff came up with, and to me, if you in Tier 4, I mean, you really get screwed, and especially Nanjimoy. I mean, that's the whole Tier 4. I mean, Nanjimoy, it's not fair. You got a lot of farmers. You got a lot of African Americans that got their land through their ancestors. and the down zone and the kill level. We've been talking about this 2 years. All the meetings I went to, I mean, we fought the PPA. This is worse than the PPA. And the people spoke, and they're going to speak again. Just like my sister said, voters, well, we'll see 2014. Because this is not right. You robbing the people. And ask them how much do they got. What they live on? They live on a lot. They live on a quarter lot. We talking about people that got land. Farmers got land. People in Najimore got land. And look at the map. Those are the people that's getting screwed. You got 50 acres. You went tier 4. Man, you in a bad area. It's not fair. It just don't make no sense. There's no fairness to that. People looking for jobs, and they just trying to shut down half of the county. And everything go to Waldorf. My brothers and sisters always say, but the sprawl, where's the sprawl at? I mean, you shutting this down, but where's the sprawl at? Is it in Waldorf? Is that where the sprawl at? Because it's not down there where we at. We're looking for jobs. My brothers and sisters today had to leave early. They left around 9 o'clock. They live in Najimore. They got land. You're robbing the people. You're robbing the farmers. You're robbing the people that live down there. Just look at Najimore. The whole thing is tier 4. We getting screwed. That's why we fought the PPA. And we're going to fight this too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Posey. Ms. Jones?
I just wanted to say to you that I support what Mr. Richards said regarding disparaging remarks made against Commissioner Levy and also others by those who come. And it's my understanding that according to Robert's Rules of Orders, not just us, but the people who speak to us are also guided by it. And being disrespectful and it is not something that is condoned. And it may be that since the county attorney said that in the absence of a parliamentarian, it would be her. It has historically been the purview of the county attorney to help follow Robert's Rules of Order. Maybe we should do that since you don't seem ever to recognize that. Because people are being disrespected, and I find it offensive.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. And what I'd like to clarify is not so much that I'm not making an opinion on whether or not comments before the commission tonight have been respectful or disrespectful. I'm happy to see members of the community out here in force this evening. And I think it's important for all the members of the community to be able to come forward before the Planning Commission and to be able to express their concerns. There are going to be people, and there have been people that have come before the Planning Commission that have expressed their support for the what is before the commission, and there have been people that come before the Planning Commission and who have expressed their reasons why they don't want to support it. And I think it's important to let them express their opinion. And I fully understand that even if I'm, by saying this, opening myself up for criticism, I would rather people to come forward and make their concerns heard, and so they feel they had a voice in the process, rather than characterizing some statements as disrespectful and others as being respectful. I think that we're not in the position tonight to make judgment as to who has respectful comments or not. I think we're in a position tonight in a public meeting to listen to what the residents and the concerned citizens and other stakeholders have to say without limitation. Therefore, although I understand Mr. Richards' concern and I respect your support for Mr. Richards' concern, I'm saying that as chair, I'm not going to make some statement limiting what people are going to say when they come before here, because I'm of the opinion that they have the right to come before the commission and express their concerns. Mr. Grassley.
I would like to simply say that this atmosphere has never existed in the history of this county. And this atmosphere has been created by your failure to perform your responsibility as chairman. And if you continue, you will force those of us who are on this chair, on this committee, to do what we can to repudiate you, and we will.
Mr. Grasso, again, I think that we have opportunities at our Planning Commission meetings to discuss the conduct of meetings, but I think tonight, per the agenda for this evening, we have a public meeting. And generally, without regard to how long you've been following county politics, things of that nature, I think tonight's agenda makes it clear that we have two public meetings. We're in the middle of one public meeting here, and I think we owe it to the residents here to be able to come before the Planning Commission and state their opinions without interference, without having to be bogged down in some questions or concerns about how the meetings are run. I think thus far we've allowed people to come forward and state their case, and even if they've gone over the 3-minute time limit, we've encouraged them to conclude, but we've let them state their case, and I think we should continue with that.
The only thing that bogs us down is your theatrical comments to gain public notice. That's all.
Okay.
Nothing further to say to you about it.
And I have no further theatrics. I'm saying let's get on with the meeting and let the people come before the Planning Commission so they could say what's on their mind. With that said,
Fair warning is fair warning. You have a responsibility. The rules allow us to repudiate you, and we will.
thank you, Mr. Grasso. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Again, I understand it's an open meeting, but there are certain rules of decorum that must be maintained. Now, you yourself would clearly understand that. We have listened patiently to all the speakers. We have showed great deference and respect for those speakers. We've allowed them to say just about anything they wanted, frankly. But I think there comes a time when they point out or an individual by name and make what I consider disparaging comments about that individual who was clearly not only a taxpayer in this county, but a distinguished member of this, who was elected 5 times to office by the citizens of this county. Whether or not he may be getting compensation is irrelevant. His expertise is certainly welcome on the part of, I'd say, the majority of this Planning Commission, at least on my part anyway. And I've known Mr. Levy for a number of years, probably 2 decades, and I think it's a disgrace for anyone to suggest anything but above-board activity by Mr. Levy. And I understand what you're going to say, and fine, you can say it, but a public hearing or an open meeting is not a license to make disparaging and unflattering comments about anyone, period.
And just to close, one of the things that I would like to suggest for the Planning Commission, again, I'm open to suggestions and I'm flexible. And I understand exactly how you feel about this, Mr. Richard. I'm willing to set aside time at the next meeting as an agenda item, a discussion of how much deference former commissioners should be given before Planning Commission meetings. If there's a dispute, I'm willing to set aside time at the next meeting for the Planning Commission to discuss how we're going to give deference to former officials. I'm fine with that. But I think that we have at least 15 more people who came here this evening with the expectation they would be able to share their views uninterrupted. And I think without regard to how anyone feels about Mr. Levy, I think we should proceed with letting these citizens come before the Planning Commission to be able to say what's on their mind.
Mr. Edmonds.
I want to say that when we had this discussion, just former commissioners have not been disparaged, but proud citizens who come here. So we need to talk not just about former commissioners, but about the others who've been disparaged.
And Mr. Chairman, while we're doing that, we should probably ask Council for a briefing on the First Amendment rights and the limits of free speech created by the Supreme Court of the United States. I would note, for people have any doubt about it, that a recent film which caused the deaths of American soldiers in the Middle East has not been taken down by the courts. The right of free speech in the United States is essentially unlimited, except by the limitations provided through litigation of slander and defamation. And if you have a problem with that, I'd suggest you find a way to litigate it. Until that time, you learn to live with criticism if you're in the public arena. I have not objected to the comments made about me, and Mr. Levy, I'm certain, has heard worse before. So let's get on with the subject of tonight's meeting.
Mr. Teager, I'll accept no lecture from you on the First Amendment or defending this Constitution, and that's a fact. I've spent 30 years defending this Constitution, and I'll not take any comments from you and any lectures from you, period. Now, Mr. Chairman, if you're going to start to continue this meeting, fine, then continue it. But I'll take no lectures from you, Mr. Teager, none.
Mr.
And
Edmonds.
don't use the death of soldiers or military people to make a point. Amen. Because you have an early right to do that. And don't ever do that to me again.
Mr. Edmonds, if you could call the next speaker.
Okay. Point of order. Point of order.
You took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, the same one I took numerous times as a retired Coast Guard officer, except in addition, I actually read the Constitution and support it.
Okay.
Next.
Point of order. We're going to proceed with the public hearing portion. If there are some other if there are some other concerns about the Constitution or anything else, we could discuss that offline. But I would respectfully request that Ms. Wilson come forward for her presentation and we continue with the meeting.
There's two